Welcome to the Berman Golf Podcast, where we're helping golfers over the age of 60 increase distance off the tee so that they can hit shorter irons into the green. Yeah, baby. You can visit us at bermangolf.com for more information and get ready. This is going to be a fun one. And we're rolling, baby. The Long Balls Golf Podcast. Dr. Jake Berman here, about to give you some of the easiest and simplest things that you can do to start improving your ball striking, increasing your distance with your longer clubs, and it's simply just giving you the ability to play as much as you possibly want and not being limited by your back giving out the next day or your knee giving out. The things that I'm going to go over today are the most common things that I see with my clients. I specialize in working with golfers over the age of 60, helping them gain distance, improve their ball striking, and just giving them the ability to play as frequently as they want so that they're not plagued by aches and pains. And these are the most common faults, I guess is the right way to say it, the most common faults or inefficiencies that I see in at least 90% of the people that I work with on day one, even as we're going through the process. And this is the reason why it occurs is, in general, the people that I work with had been decent golfers for the majority of their life. So 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, been decent golfers, very respectable distances off the tee, respectable handicaps, just good all-around golfers, decent all-around amateur golfers. And then all of a sudden, as they start getting a little older, 50, 60, they start losing distance, or they start having aches and pains, something hurts. Then all of a sudden, they change the way they swing the club. They change their setup. They try to go with a more open stance. They try flaring their foot out, their left front foot, so they can get a bigger swing through. Or they try to open up their rear foot, their right foot, if you're a right-handed golfer, so they can increase their backswing. They try to do all sorts of things to compensate for losing distance, losing ball contact or quality ball contact, and pain. Another most common one that I see is moving the ball forward in the stance. These are some really simple things that you can address that will instantaneously give you a return on investment regarding ball striking specifically. So anybody that really struggles with ball striking and inconsistent ball striking, topping it, hitting it thin, chunking it, hitting it fat, whatever it is, if you're not really consistent with ball striking, if you just take one of these things, I would put money on the fact that you are guilty of at least one of these things. You will see an immediate return on investment on your ball striking, which turns into an immediate return on investment on distance. I was just playing golf with one of my clients who we spent the entire January, February, March, April, going through a group performance program, and he was a very good golfer his entire career, 70s, currently in his 70s, and single-digit handicapper forever, 5 or under forever. And then all of a sudden, his body starts giving out on him over the past 2 years, back pain specifically, and his handicap shoots up like a rocket. So I was working with him for the past few months, and then finally on the second to last day that I was going to be able to work with him because he was heading back north, I finally said to him, because I've been arguing with him, not arguing, I had been mentioning it, strongly suggesting that he move the ball further back in his stance, specifically with his 7-iron. The general thought process or the general way that you're supposed to position the ball with a 7-iron is right in the middle of your stance. That's just a well-known thing that is in the golf world, is when you're using your 7-iron, the ball should be directly in the middle of your stance. And then for the shorter clubs, 8, 9 wedge, the ball should be further back in your stance, respectively, to those clubs. And then if you're going longer clubs, 6, 5, 4, hybrid, wood, driver, the ball should be more forward in your stance, respectively. And this is what I'm talking about here is the most common thing that I see with my aging golfers is when they've got a wedge in their hand, the ball is not even in the middle of their stance. It's more on the forward side of their stance. When they have a 7-iron in their hand, the ball is more in the position that you would expect it to be for a wood or even a driver, where it's like, what the heck is going on? There's no wonder you're topping the ball. No wonder you're chunking it, because by the time you get to the ball, the club's not long enough. So you have to reach for it and you have to manipulate it and do all this crap. So the thing that I do with every single person, because nobody believes me, obviously, we're all way too subjective to be objective. No way. There's no way it's that far in my stance, far forward in my stance, is I get the alignment sticks out and I put the alignment sticks down. And I say, okay, where's that stick at? And they always say, okay, yeah, it is forward in my stance. So that makes it very obvious. So then we move it back. We move it not back. We just move it right into the center of the stance. Okay, the ball is now in the center of your stance. You have a 7-iron in your hand. It's exactly where it should be. They always go, oh my God, it feels so far back in my stance. I don't know how I'm going to hit the thing. I just don't know how I'm going to do it. So then it turns into this mind game. You're going, I can't do it. How am I going to get to the ball? So it's this psychological block that you have to overcome. However, once you're able to do it, 100% of the people that I work with immediately respond back by saying, wow, that just felt amazing. Like that was pure. That was amazing. It just felt great. That contact was so good once they finally execute it. And you have to remember that golf is one of the simplest hard games out there. There's not a game that's more simple yet extremely challenging out there. And it's because of the setup. We as amateurs don't spend near enough time on the basic fundamentals that are required before you even start swinging the club. I know I've referenced this multiple times with the interview of John Rahm right before the Masters, before he was trying to defend his title. And he said in that interview, he goes, most amateur golfers don't spend near enough time on the fundamentals. They just get up to the ball and try to hit it. If you just spend an extra couple of seconds working on your alignment, ball position, posture, grip, club face at address, if you just spend extra few seconds just working on all that, the swing itself is really not that challenging. We just, as amateur golfers, we make it so much harder than it has to be because we don't spend enough time on all of those things. So here's the immediately actionable thing that you can do right now. I actually just did this with my client that I was talking about earlier today because we went out and played a couple of weeks ago. And the front nine for me was a disaster. There were some good shots. There were some bad shots. It was all over the place. And on the back nine, what I'm trying to think right now, on the back nine, I finally asked him because we're on the tee box and I had a huge banana slice into the woods off the tee box, 2 shots in a row. And I'm going, what the heck is going on here? What am I doing? Because I don't know. I can't see myself swinging. I can see you swing and tell you what you're doing, but I don't know what I'm doing. And he goes, you're not doing what you're telling me to do. You just weren't finishing the swing. And I'm like, why the heck? I feel like I'm trying to finish the swing. So then I had him look at it again. And the problem was with my driver, I had the ball so far forward in my stance that it was not allowing me to finish my swing. I had to reach for the ball so much that I wasn't able to turn. I had to actually reach for the ball because it was so far forward in my stance. But I thought that that's where it was supposed to be. So he had me do this drill, and this is what I want everybody to do listening to this, because it's such a simple drill, yet it was so effective that I wanted to play another 9 or even another 18 after that, because I was just throwing darts for the back 9 after he addressed or helped me address this issue. So with the 7-iron, set the ball up. And the first thing that you do is you want to put your feet completely together. So you get into your golf stance, but put your feet completely together so the ball is splitting the difference between your two shoes touching. So your feet are completely together. And the first thing that you do is you want to make sure that your alignment is right, meaning that are your feet, hips, and shoulders all square. They have to be square first. You don't want your feet open, your hips closed, and your shoulders open. You want feet, hips, and shoulders all square and pointing in the right direction. You know, the old railroad tracks analogy. You put an alignment stick at the ball to your target, and then you put another alignment stick parallel to the first alignment stick, and that's where you want your feet. You want them right on the stick so that you're aimed in the direction of the target. Then the next thing that you do is you take one with your left foot, take a step left, and then with your right foot, take a step right, and you want those steps to be equal distances. So if you move your left foot 10 inches to the left, you want to move your right foot 10 inches to the right. And that's going to ensure that the ball is as close to perfectly centered in your stance as humanly possible. We're talking with a 7-iron again. Remember, with a 7-iron. Now, for a lot of you guys listening to this, you're going to do this and you're going to go, there's no way that I'm going to be able to hit this ball. A lot of you are going to be thinking, I'm not even aligned in the right direction. I'm going to shank it. I'm going to push it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. There's no way this ball is going to go where it needs to go. This is the psychological component that you're going to have to get over. And the way that you do it is you just go into slow motion. Go into slow motion into the top of your backswing and just feel it. And then go in slow motion down to the impact position and just feel where you're at right there. And you just do it over and over again. And what it does is it's going to train your brain how to, first of all, do that motion in the alignment that you're at. But second of all, it's going to prove to your brain, oh, wow, this is correct. This is right. Then you start hitting balls. And you want to do this with every single ball that you hit because it's a routine. It's something that you got to get into. You got to train your brain how to position the ball again. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, I don't need to do that. I'm too good. I played it too often. I don't need to do it. You're the one that needs to do it because you play too often, because you play a lot, because you do bang a lot of balls. You're the one that needs to do it. Go back to the fundamentals. Make sure that your feet, hips, and shoulders are all in proper alignment and that the ball is in the proper position of your stance. Now the same thing for the driver. Let's do the same exact thing for the driver. First thing we do is tee the ball up and then set our feet up directly together, pointing at the ball. Then with the driver, we're going to take a very small step to the left with our left foot, and then a much bigger step to the right with our right foot. Now, it's really hard to objectify that. I don't know what the right distance is inches-wise. Let's just call it 5 inches, 6 inches, 7 inches left with your left foot, and then, I don't know, 18 inches to the right with your right foot. You're just going to have to feel it. It depends on how tall you are, how long your legs are. Just feel it. But that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that that's where your position is, and then try to hit the ball. It's going to feel weird, but you got to remember this. This is probably one of the first things that I should have said, is that your brain knows what you're trying to do. And it knows that you're going to double cross yourself. It knows that your feet are really open and your hips are square and your shoulders are closed. So it knows that the only way you're going to be able to get back to the ball is you're going to have to double cross yourself, or you're going to have to flip at it. You're going to have to do this, you're going to have to do that. So you're going to have to start off in proper alignment. You are not good enough. If you're listening to this podcast, you're not good enough to set up to hit a draw, to set up to hit a fade, to set up to do this or manipulate the ball in some way, shape, or form. If you're listening to this podcast, why don't you just work on hitting the ball straight over and over and over again? Make it as boring as you possibly can. I had another one of my clients who attended one of our workshops, and he took the stuff that he learned in that workshop and implemented it the next day on the course and shot the best round of the season. And he emailed me that evening and he goes, I was skeptical at first, but I implemented it yesterday and had one of the best rounds that I've had this season. And he goes, this is the way he described it. He goes, it was one of those just boring rounds where the tee shots were great and then I hit every green. It was just a really boring round. There was nothing exciting about it, but it was the best score he had shot. That's what we should be striving for as amateur golfers, is to have the most boring round we possibly can. Oh man, my tee shot went long and straight and landed right in the middle of the fairway. That's boring. Oh man, my approach shot went long and straight and hit the green. Oh, that's boring. You didn't have to scramble. Scrambling makes it exciting, not in a good way. But when you just hit or throw darts straight down the middle every time, it gets boring. But then you're scoring well. Then that gets exciting. So this is what we really need to work on. Number one, ball position. Well, actually, number one, alignment. Now, I know that there's some of you saying, I have to flare my foot out because of XYZ injury. My hip bothers me, my knee bothers me, my shoulder bothers me, whatever it is. I don't get enough back turn. Whatever it is, just know that you actually don't need to do all that. And the reason why you don't need to do it is because one of the reasons you do have pain with the swing is because you are double crossing yourself, because you are manipulating your stance in some way, shape, or form. When your feet, hips, and shoulders are all square and you're using the right muscles, the golf swing is relatively easy on your body. Even if you have a history of a knee problem or a hip problem, when you do it the right way and use the right muscles, the golf swing is really gentle on the body. Shouldn't be stressing your back, shouldn't be killing your knees or your ankles. So if you don't agree with that, we need to have a whole entire different conversation. You better make sure you read my book or check out some of my YouTube videos, because when the golf swing is done efficiently, there's no stress on the body. You're using the big muscles. You're not using the little muscles. You're not using your joints. You're using the big muscles. So think about all that stuff. Try to implement it. You should see immediately improvements in your ball striking. And if your ball striking gets better, guess what's going to happen? You're going to start flying greens and you're going to be like, what the hell? That club just went 15 yards farther than it normally goes. Yeah, because you're striking the ball better. It's a good problem. When you start flying greens, you can be as mad at me as you want, but at the end of the day, it's the best problem you could possibly have. So, with all of that said, make sure you check out the online Tee Shot Transformation Program. It's an online program, 6 modules sent directly to your email. Go to my website and get more information on it, bermangolf.com. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Berman Golf on YouTube. Coming out with a ton of great content. We're going to keep these quality content videos and podcasts and everything else going in the right direction, trying to help as many aging golfers increase distance, improve their ball striking, and play as much as they possibly want. So thank you again, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you very much for tuning in this week. For more information, please go to bermangolf.com. That's B as in boy, ERMAN, bermangolf.com, and check out a ton of stuff that we have there. Or even better, go to our socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. We're even on TikTok. Check us out everywhere. We've got tons of content going out every week. And please give us a thumbs up. Comment on the videos. Let me know what your questions are. Try to shoot holes in this. I'll do whatever I can to help you out the best that I can. Thank you, guys.